Tesla Q3 earnings are upon us. The earnings call is coming, and there are some questions that need to be answered. Say Technologies has a good way of getting those questions out there and in front of the right people. And I'm joined with Herbert, who knows how to answer them just as well as I do. You guys probably know the answers. It's a mix of good questions, bad questions, and dumb questions, and we'll figure out what's what and get you some answers. I'm Brian. Welcome to my Tesla Weekend. Herbert's got a great channel over there. He's you know who Herbert is. He's wonderful. Check him out. Herbert, let's get into the questions.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so there's how many Cybertruck deliveries do you anticipate for this year?
I don't know. It says 2024 here, Brian.
Oh, 2024. You're right. For 2024, that's a much better question. I'm glad that one is being asked. What do you think it's going to be?
For me,
50,
it's going to be around... No,
100?
I think it's going to be more than 50,000. I think it's going to be 100,000. I think that they're probably going to get to, I think you have to take two things in consideration, right? The first thing is how many battery cells that they'll have, 4680 batteries by then, and then the ability for them to scale up production in the gigafactories. And I think that they'll get to the 5,000 per week run rate in the last quarter of 2024. It's going to take them time to get there. And so if you think about that, last quarter, 3 months, right? 5 times 4, 20, 60,000. So those people who are saying that they only expect 70,000 by the end of 2024, I think they're cutting it short. And I think it's going to be more than that, but there will be a rate limiting step of the number of batteries available. So I'm going to say around 100,000 is my
100,000. I'm going to come in lower and say it's going to be under 100, but I don't know how far under. I'd say 50 to 70 is 50 is, I think, very easy. That's less than 1,000 a week. And maybe at the beginning of the year, it's only a few hundred. But like you said, by the end of the year, if it's not a few thousand a week, we'll be asking some much bigger questions at that time. Next question we saw was the 4680 ramp. How's that going?
Yeah, can you provide a progress update in 4680, particular progress towards performance improvements and cost savings outlined on Battery Day? So I think this is the biggest question. I'm glad that it's up there. I'm very happy that Cybertruck is question number 1 and 4680 number 2. I would have preferred if 4680 was the question number 1. That would have been voted up the higher. So I think this is the most important, the most critical kind of limitation to Tesla's growth. And so we've heard that they have now the 20 million cell produced. People are now kind of trying to estimate at this point, where are we at in this curve? Does that mean we've gone past the big hurdles, which I think we have. But we don't know the progress, how fast is going to be ongoing. So I don't have the answer to this, and I want to ask the question.
I would agree that these are the two biggest questions. I think putting Cybertruck first is fine. That there's a lot of enthusiasm around it. The fact that a battery question made the top 10 at all goes to show the depth of understanding these investors have. And the Cybertruck question is a battery question, really. So I think we will, the first part is, how's it going? Great. We saw the 20 million announcement. That's good. And it appears that the speed has accelerated quite a bit. Also good. But in terms of cost and performance, those are very good questions. I hope we get an answer, and I hope they're the answers that we're expecting. I've heard that the Generation 2 4680 has a thinner cell wall, that the original one, if you saw the research group tearing it open that Jordan Giesecke worked with, it was very thick. It was very difficult to open, and now they've managed to thin it down, which will shed a lot of weight from the vehicle, a lot of cost in terms of manufacturing. Sure, it's only a few cents of metal times a billion, so it ends up being real money. Next question.
Yeah, I just saw Limiting Factor just did a tweet, and he was saying that the 4680s very likely can deliver between $2,000 and $2,300 to $5,500 cheaper, lower the price of the cost of building a car. And that's if you take into consideration the IRA, then it becomes the 5,000 plus. But if you don't take any of that at all, just the battery, it can be 2,000 something cheaper. So
2,000 to 5,000. Yeah, that could be 10% of your purchase price, depending on the vehicle. That's massive.
It's huge. Yeah. Next question here is, when do you expect the Model 3 Highland to be available in the U.S.?
Q1, I think, is the answer. Motor Trend did a review, and in it, when they reached out to Tesla to fact check it, they said, could you change that from January to just Q1? And so I think that's your answer, is Q1. And I think they're going to really
Q1
try
well.
and keep the lines moving in Fremont until the very end of the quarter, so that they can hit the 2023 numbers they're looking at. It's a good question, but it's an easy question, and it was probably submitted before the answer was widely known. So it's
agreed. I think I had seen that Morgan Stanley, Adam Jonas had a private meeting with Tesla, and that was one of the things that they told him was Q1 of 2024. So it sounds like that's going to be true. Next question here is, can you please provide an update on the capacity expansion plans for the company's factories in Berlin and Austin, and the opening schedule of Gigafactory Mexico?
As Elon likes to say, that's 3 questions. Yeah. So Berlin and Austin, I can tell you Austin has a lot of capacity that's already built that is not yet in use. They put in a second and third line, and then when they just moved staff from line 1 to lines 2 and 3, so they didn't actually increase capacity, but they have a lot of capacity that they can increase at any time. Berlin, I don't know the case. I don't have any insights there of anyone that would be able to get me the knowledge, but I assume that their plans are looking kind of the same, that they've also, I understand that they did add lines 2 and 3. I don't know if production has ramped to match that. We don't get regional breakdowns officially, but we do know the cars are selling very well, and that just by not having to import them from China makes them cheaper. You avoid the import tax, you avoid the month in transit and the shipping cost. So it ends up, certainly there's a savings there that will expand the market. Mexico, 2025. That's what I'm saying.
What's interesting is that we don't know, right? We don't know what's actually going on. And I know you have the most insight in this. You keep track as close as you can. So does Joe Tegmeyer. But, what was really interesting was in the book, Walter Isaacson's biography, they talked about how Elon decided to start the test line for the Giga Mexico, the compact car, in Giga Texas in May. So if they're already doing a test line in May, so number one, this is a compact car. It's the unboxed model.
Uh-huh.
So they've already got a line, probably, early stages, probably testing this out. And so I think that's why, number one, Giga Mexico launch, when is the opening schedule? That should be anytime soon now, but it relieved that pressure because they're already doing it here. So they'll just transfer it over. It's going to make it accelerate faster. But my point being that this is the unboxed model that they're already thinking through in Giga Texas. And so the expansion of Giga Texas and Berlin has been already announced, but we just don't know the details, but it's probably happening.
So Adrian CG is the drone pilot that flies in Nuevo Leon. He said that based on a recent video released by the governor of Nuevo Leon, that they expect to have final permits in like a week, that groundbreaking could be in a week or 2. That may be a politician speaking politically. We don't know. But in any case, it's something. It's better than nothing. The other thing is, Elon was once asked, what's going on with the Roadster team or the Cybertruck team? And he said, there are no teams. It's all the same people. So I don't think they are working on the compact, and I don't think they will until the Cybertruck is dry ink. I think they don't have the headspace today to deal with that. And and there's no, I know they want to build a pilot line in somewhere, and they will, but it feels extremely premature to do that today. And I don't know where they would put it in Texas. Because, well, it's a huge place, right? But Unbox needs its own everything. It needs its own design, its own floor space, and it needs a lot of it. So I don't know. I'm putting, I need to see a second source for a claim as bold as that.
Okay.
And there will be a pilot line. It will be somewhere that is not the final factory, But the idea that a lot of people think that means that production is moving to Texas, that doesn't make sense to me. But we'll see.
Okay. Next question is, why was the price dropped on FSD if it's getting better and robotaxi is expected so soon? I have this question too. I was asking it for a while. It's scratching my head. Why did they lower the price of FSD? The only thought I had was to try to improve the earnings that might come out as a little bit of a surprise here in Q3. Just a little bit of a buffer there. But yeah, that is weird. You know why they did that? And then to ask robotaxi is expected so soon.
Well,
if it's getting better and robotaxi expects it so soon, what? It's like, come on, stop asking about robotaxi. I love it. I've been having discussions with Jeff Lutz and others, and it's like, just focus on FSD for now. Let's not ask questions about robotaxi.
Yes. Yeah, robotaxi, when it happens, and it'll be so huge that all of these other conversations could become meaningless. Why'd they lower the price? Take rates were too low. There's a sweet spot. If you could make it $1 million, and there are people who would still buy it, but not enough of them to charge $1 million. And my thought is, if the take rate really is only 10% and it's $12,000, why don't you let everyone have it and charge us $1,200? Then everyone would be just charge $1,200 more on the car and include it. You already include autopilot, because in my recent purchase, my order, I haven't got it yet. I had to make that decision. Am I getting FSD? And the answer is no. And it's an effortless decision. I don't have $12,000. That is too much money. So what I will do is get my 3 months free trial and then hopefully get enough benefit from content that I'm shooting with it to justify the $200 a month it'll cost to have it. So it's still, I mean, my last car was $15,000. The one I'm driving still today, and that was years ago. It was only 2 years old when I got it. And now you want me to pay $12,000 just for FSD? I don't have the money.
Okay, so it took me a little bit longer to do the calculation. So what you said is that currently today in the U.S. there's a 10% take rate, 10% take rate of a $12,000 FSD price. And so you said, well, why not just make every car 100% take rate, but $1,200 each? You'll get the same amount of money. I go, okay, yeah. Got it. But Brian, I still believe, and I think people still do. You have to give me multiple sources, Brian, before I'll change my mind. That FSD take rate is going to be $12,000, and they're going to keep raising. It's going to keep going up, and eventually become a monthly fee. The monthly fees, they want to have variability in pricing of the monthly fee, so they'll keep it separated out there. But anyways, as FSD gets better, the take rate will go up, because it's better for safety and so forth. So it's not going to be something that we want. There's going to be some autopilot capability or some versions of the FSD that they'll give free, part of the car. But I think this is something that's going to be separated out.
I agree, and it will. And once it's solved, it will not be 12,000. Right. It will, and the take rate. Overnight, we're going to see billions pour into the balance sheet as people just buy it, especially if there's an announcement that it's going up at the end of the month, which they've done before. You'd see a lot of people jump on that, and that would be a very juicy quarter. But we would need to kind of wait and see on that. Yeah.
All right. Next question here is this current consensus from the sell side institutional investors is that Tesla will deliver 2.3 million vehicles in 2024. That's a 28% growth over 2023. The 1.8 to 2.3. Is this growth rate achievable without any mass market launches in 2024? When does Tesla expect to return to its 50% long-term CAGR?
So do you think 2.3 million is viable based on the products we know about today?
Personally, I do. I've been asking this question with a bunch of people, and I've been trying to figure out, by factory, by car line, can they hit the 2.3? I think it's going to be closer to 2.4. But I've been seeing others who say that 2.3 is actually pretty high. They think it should be around 2.2 is what I've seen others say. So
in any case, those are still big numbers, but you're right. The Highland is going to be able to be produced more quickly. There's more capacity for Model Y in Texas and Berlin. And you've got, I don't know if you've heard, but they're going to start making certainly within reach. And when will they return to 50%? As Cybertruck ramps, perhaps, but as the compact starts being produced in one or more factories. And the beauty is, there's only so many more 50% to go before you run out of market entirely. So we're getting, I know we said the same thing about Moore's Law, that we would run out of capacitors to double, of transistors to double on a chip. And eventually we did. Moore's Law is no longer every year or year and a half, whatever it was. It's now a little bit slower, but it's still, marching towards absolute domination is my take.
Mm-hmm. I think the concern people have is that they have not announced new factories. Giga Mexico has been delayed. So then the question becomes, when they say that they're expanding, it goes right back to that first question, right? Which is, expansion of Giga Berlin and Texas. They haven't seen that. But if you say that you can do the unbox model where you can have much less square footage, they're more likely that we can actually hit these numbers. And yet that's what we haven't seen yet. So this is 2024, right? So we're here. We're basically here at this point, and we've not heard any movement. And that's why I do think that, 2.3 might be aggressive, but I think I'm still shooting for the 2.4 because I just think that they're going to be able to expand the lines faster than we realize in 2024. The expansion within existing factories is what I'm saying. So.
And if interest rates start coming down at all, that's also going to increase the demand.
No. So I could think of that as separated, right? Because we're just talking about vehicles and vehicles that are sold, but we're not talking about price. So they're going to lower the price to hit their vehicles that they want. If you want 1.8 million sold this year, you can do that. You just lower your prices to hit that mark. And that's what they'll do for the 2.3 and 2.4.
Mm-hmm. Well, and they may, if any amount of interest rates coming down will also help that target.
Of course.
Because it just comes back to affordability. So let's go ahead and do one more.
It's a dumb one. I hate this question.
Well, we can skip
much.
it then.
I hate this question.
Oh, yeah. No, I think that's too dumb. That's too dumb.
Legal liability on FSD because Mercedes is doing it.
No. It's a party trick, and it's dumb. It's not level 3.
Let's find
it's
a good
traffic
one.
jam assist.
Another one on Robotaxi, buddy. It's like, it's crazy. These are coming, by the way, from the institutional. See this? Institutional questions? Mm-hmm. They're the ones asking for this. It's like, okay, I'm glad that you're asking questions on FSD and Robotaxi, but legal liability and, timeline for Robotaxi, again, just, you're jumping the gun. You're asking too early. It's good. It's good that they're thinking about this, but this is the question to be asking at a Q3.
Surely there's a good question left. There's got to be one. Let's see what we got. Maybe we've gotten through the good ones.
I mean, they want to know how is FSD going? FSD version 12. I think it's a good question.
It is. It is a good question. I don't know if a meaningful answer exists. Do you?
Well, I think that the meaningful answer that Elon will always come back to is how much safer it is than a human. So if he's able to say FSD version 12 on a hardware 3 is 5 times safer than the human, 6 times safer than a human, then that would be a good metric for us to know, kind of gauge where we're sitting here.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So there's better questions. You should ask them in the comments. For everybody else, like, subscribe, do all the usual stuff. Stay tuned, stay juicy, and I can't wait to hear from you clever robots after earnings, I suppose. Herbert, thank you so much.